Hey everyone, this is Mike and I'm here with Isaac.
Yo,
And we're here to talk about the current state of the gaming industry and well, usually like the Western gaming industry. Because according to a new survey, it shows that 44% of the gaming developers are thinking about leaving the industry, which is pretty expected if you've been keeping up with the state of the industry and all the layoffs. Like North America has seen the most video game industry layoffs, especially in the United States and mostly in California. Roughly 61% of all layoffs since the big wave began in 2022 have been in North America. California alone accounted for at least 50% of global layoffs in early years and makes up around 27% of the 2026 cuts so far. In 2026 to date, 55% of layoffs have hit North America compared to just 24 in Europe. The GDC 2026 State of Game Industry Survey backs this up. 33% of US developers reported being laid off in the past 2 years, higher than the global average of 28 and 70. The 76% of UK devs are also now considering leaving the games industry entirely. Now, obviously, those are some pretty staggering numbers. And but again, it's not surprising considering how many like AAA failures that we've kind of been just going through back to back to back, like Star Wars Outlaws, and obviously like recent High Guards, like Skull and Bones. Like what is that one game? Just like Forspoken, like Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. Like it's just so many that I can just list off the top of my head. But yeah, it's not surprising that so many people are just like saying "f this" and wanting to just leave the industry altogether. And it's kind of just like an issue both between like the hubris of the development teams, the publishers, and just the state of the economy together, where everything is just too. These games are just again too expensive to make. A lot of these games also feel like just like vanity projects to just like as like some kind of glorified therapy session, and just overall there's just too many games out there. There's just too much choice. So like you got to the people are just making these games that really just appeal to no one, and just like you're just a lot of these people are just asking why would someone spend like 670 to $100 on this AAA game when I can just go on Steam, pick up like a new indie game for like $20 or even an older game for that price or even lower. It's just like it makes perfect sense why the industry is the way it is, especially in the West.
yeah, no, I think the reports have been a little bit pretty damning at the moment in terms of where the industry is. Listen, and you also have to kind of add in the fact that a lot of these big major companies like Microsoft have acquired a lot of these other developers and they've been buying it out. It's clearly, it seems like there's very focus on actually creating games and instead just act more focused on like acquisition of a lot of these companies. And I think that's one of the bigger issues that's being put up right now for the moment. That's also being played out because over this past year we just learned that Microsoft closed down a lot of companies right now and shut down a lot of game projects too that were in the works. Yeah, I think about the I forgot the top of the developer the team that did Hi-Fi Rush. Is that the
Who's
name of the
this?
game? I totally
Yeah,
forgot
Hi-Fi
the.
Rush.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then I forget
was
the studio.
well acclaimed, and all of a sudden, that development studio just ends up being closed. Also,
Rogue.
you heard about projects like um Project Zero. I think is that the name? Wow, I can't even. The 64 game. Project Perfect Dark. Perfect Dark. I don't know. I said, why did I say Project Zero? I meant Perfect Dark. And that's been a
The
project that's
perfect.
been in the development phase for a very long time. Also sat down to get canceled. So yeah, we're kind of in this situation right now where it just seemed like I think it was an industry for a very long time what they thought that it would continue to make the money the way it was making, and they didn't think that there would be a bubble popping anytime soon until now. And I
Yeah.
think we're starting to see that right now. And then because now that, like you said, that they're not making the money they would normally be making by putting all this money in development and acquisition of all these companies and developers, they're now starting to move away from that. Along with the idea that was artificial intelligence being very forced and being pushed into a lot of these development teams. So, yeah, to hear all this kind of happen right now, it's not really shocking, like you said, though, but it is a little bit upsetting that people that went into this industry to be able to create and to and for people to be a fun, interesting job really has turned out to be very uncertain in
Mm.
today's economy at the moment.
Yeah, I totally understand you. Although I do want to again point out again, Hi-Fi Rush. It's made by well, it was made by Tango Gameworks, and they are actually a Tokyo-based studio. So them getting shut down was a bit more like shocking considering how well Hi-Fi Rush was received. However, they did get picked up by Krafton, which is the studio that made PUBG,
Okay.
and that's like a very
That's
special case. I
that's
get not,
wonderful, and
but
that
not.
yeah, and that's wonderful for that studio.
Yeah,
How many
I
other
know what you.
studios are getting
I
they're
know.
getting closed right now that they're not getting picked up?
Yeah, I know. I was about to get to that. I was about to mention that right next because, like, yeah, I know they're a special case because, like, obviously, the studio saw this game that was actually very well received and they got picked up. But I know that not every studio gets that kind of like that kind of same treatment, that same like safety net after like making a hit game. But again, the issue with a lot of the Western studios is like a lot of like bloat. Again, they're going through the same things that the Hollywood is going through with these bloated budgets. And there's like these companies that are not quick, they're not nimble, and a lot of these people are laying off because the industry right now is going through a correction phase, so to speak. Well, now they're starting to realize like we hired way too many people during the pandemic. People kept thinking that the money was going to keep flowing endlessly. And obviously, the magic wore off. And now we have a lot of these people that unfortunately we have to let go. And a lot of these people, and I do want to mention that, yeah, it's not a lot of these people are actually doing decent work. I know some of these people are cheering on for layoffs because like some of these studio DI and wokeness, but yeah, some of them are would would fit that category, but there are also a lot of people that are just doing honest work that are getting caught in this situation. And obviously my heart goes out to those and I hope those people do land on their feet. But at the same time, I don't blame them from just wanting to say F this and just let me just go into a different industry altogether. And yeah, it's unfortunately that's something that a lot of people have to come to contend with. That sometimes you with the industries that you want to go in, you have to accept that sometimes that times are changing. You might have to pivot to another industry entirely. That's something that I had to learn as someone who got a degree in communications for the interest of journalism, and everybody knows the current state of journalism now is a complete crapshoot. It doesn't pay, it barely pays anything now, and if you are getting paid in that industry, you're pretty much getting paid peanuts. Most of these websites, these online websites, aren't making any money. But it because why would anyone go to a gaming like website for news when you can just go to like a YouTube page or a Twitch stream to see the game in action, and you can just form your own opinion of whether the game interests you or not. So a lot of these gaming websites aren't getting paid. That's something that I had to come to terms with after bouncing between a handful of writing for like a few gaming websites myself. I just came to the realization that yeah, this isn't worth it. And I just kind of now I am writing for another website, but I'm just kind of doing it on my spare time. And if in I'm just kind of just doing it because I like for when I like if I feel like it, because like it's really not something you can truly make money off of. And just the state of the whole just again industry, it's because of the state of the whole industry right now. It's something that a lot of people have yet to come to terms with.
Yeah, I know you keep on putting all the emphasis on Western, but you also have to understand the article also does say the UK. People
Yes.
across the
Well,
pond are also
well,
suffering the same situation as well. Ubisoft, I think one of the companies we talked about has also kind of been in the crossfires in terms of how things are being handled. Again, like you said, UK being one of the bigger supporters as well. I know we, as a general,
yeah.
the
Well,
whole website, I know the whole industry all is suffering all around as well.
yeah.
But
Well, when we say Western, we do Europe
you do
in
include
that
the West,
we do include Europe
Western.
and that.
I tend to always think because they're a little more across with the East, but I guess if you're gonna go with
Yes,
geography, like you're talking about the rising sun, like Japan and Asia,
yeah. It's just
of
because
course,
because
Eastern
Europe.
situation like that.
It's because Europe and UK usually sell to America. That's because we're I mean again America is the biggest consumer market in the world, and they usually the majority of their sales actually comes from America rather than local in their territory. So when we say Western gaming industry, they are usually lumped in.
Interesting.
UK and Europe is usually lumped in.
That's America,
Mm-hmm.
and what's America, Canada, South America. Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, no, it is, like and with we've also talked about the issues with artificial intelligence and how it's been forced in a lot of industries. Especially with developers and programmers, on how they tend to put that technology blatantly in the driver's seat and put humans in the back or the passenger, which we've also talked about. That's not how that should have been going, but that's what's happening right now. And you're also seeing how it's affecting a lot of the companies right now that have gone that way or have tried to push for that, all for the sake of investors. And it also seems like right now a lot of these companies that did all these acquisitions and promises to the investors have been lying to them, because clearly it's not being reflected. It seems like a lot of money is being lost in terms of all these
Mm-hmm.
acquisitions between buying all these studios, as well as trying to put artificial intelligence in the forefront. And to go back to even the acquisition, look at Microsoft. They're losing money on their acquisition of Activision right now, and
Mm-hmm.
with the Call of Duty series, a game that honestly has done better on PC and on the PlayStation than on the console Microsoft that they bought it for. So yeah, it's a stink, and like you said, I think right now, um, and like you're saying right now, I think in general in terms of the industry, it seems like we're kind of finally now going into that. It's almost like the circle of life at the moment. Like we're
Mm-hmm.
at the top of the circle right now. Like, the industry has exhausted as much as it possibly
Yep.
can, and I think it's about to deflate itself. Like you said, it's going to be able to change all that stuff. So, and right now it's going to thin out. Unfortunately, it sucks to see people lose their jobs, but then it's going to go right around the circle. Like you said, we do have the independent circle that's going to be carrying that. Although I can't even say for people that end up losing their jobs that that's even a lucrative career to go to, because I think we've also mentioned how many independent games get released in a month, and that's almost to the thousands. So even then, like you said, you're competing with 1,000 games that get released in a monthly basis for the attention, on top of every other entertainment platform that they have to deal with right now. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of steady competition all around that's competing for everybody's time. And unfortunately, right now, like you said, this industry is going to have to thin itself out. It's going to have to lean itself out a little bit, and then try to get back to basics. and hopefully that basis is a more emphasis of better development, putting better creative teams on these projects, and hopefully developing games that people want to sit down and play at the moment.
Yeah, very much so. And I guess one last thing I did want to mention regarding this layoffs is because of I just realized that there is this neat little tracker called gaminglayouts.com where someone has been keeping track of each latest game studio, and I know there's a massive like Google Doc that just shows how many like layoffs have been happening in this year alone, and it's pretty crazy. It's
So
just
it's a
seeing
total. I think I know the article mentioned almost 30,000 layoffs right now
30,000.
in a
Yep,
year, right?
in this year alone.
This year
This year
alone.
alone. But yeah, the latest one of like again, it's just Iron Galaxy layoffs, and then which that sucks. Like the Iron Galaxy is a studio that has worked as like a support team to help co-develop a lot of games, including like Overwatch, Fallout 76, and they did work on a game that I used to love playing, which is called Rumbleverse, which is like a live service wrestling themed battle royale. I still have some like gameplay footage about that game that I need to upload just for like for like preservation's sake. I do miss Rumbleverse. I really wish that game didn't shut down, but it is what it is. And yeah, I guess another thing that they worked on, they also worked on like season 2 and 3 of the Killer Instinct reboot game, which was a really well received. But yeah, unfortunately, the layoffs are gonna kind of continue until the industry basically like reaches like a baseline of like sustainability,
Yeah.
because right now it's not sustainable. It is absolutely not sustainable, and it unfortunately a lot of these layoffs do need to happen. Just in the AAA space, because like obviously I could go on and say like indie is doing a lot better, but because obviously they're smaller and
Yeah,
more
but how
nimble, and
much?
yeah, and obviously with whenever a financial like they take a financial hit, they can obviously sometimes eat the cost most of the time. But these AAA's can't do that because of how many people work under that like that banner. It's just
And the bureaucracy didn't even deal with it.
yeah,
Even a couple of weeks ago, Epic Games
laid off
laid a lot of
off
people
a,
off
off
on their
for
Fortnite,
Fortnite, as well as
which
increasing the price of their V Bucks. And I know Tim Sweeney was open about that, straight up saying like, yeah, we need to increase prices to pay the bills.
which is terrible to the point that they'll let go of what a good chunk of their staff
I think it was
during.
like 20% of their staff.
Okay, that's
20%, still a lot. That's
still a
still a
lot.
lot. 20% is still a lot.
That's
Not
still a lot.
not
Yeah,
only that, they have to shut down like various game
development.
modes within Fortnite because a lot of
They don't have
people
the staff.
weren't playing.
Yeah,
Well, there's no staff to maintain them, and a lot of people weren't playing them. And like I believe like the ballistic mode and like the rocket racing mini game, and there was also like the rock band mini game that's also I think believe it's going to be shut down. Probably someone's probably correct me at that, but yes, several games within Fortnite are getting shut down because like there's no staff to maintain them, and a lot of people weren't playing those modes anymore.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what else I can say at this point. It's a fortunate state of affairs, and I hope that the industry recovers. But it seems like a lot of things are just gonna unfortunately get worse before they get better. Anyway, what do you think about this news? How are you feeling about the